All right, here we go.
All right.
Welcome. So glad to have you here with me.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Your name's Kimberly Flower. You
That's
host your
correct.
own true crime YouTube channel.
That's correct. Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
well, how did you start doing that and when did you start doing it?
I started my YouTube channel probably 2.5 years ago, and I was doing beauty subscription boxes. And honestly, I just got bored of it. My content went a little stale. And I have been a true crime enthusiast for as long as I can remember. And that stemmed from my mom, who reruns of Law and Order all the time, court TV, the OJ trial. So all of that. So I ended up thinking, I was watching all these true crime hosts that are doing their channel, and I thought, well, maybe I could do it. But it took me a little while to build my confidence because I'm like, I don't know, because it's a whole new world for me. Never done anything like it before.
it, it can be challenging because I know I mentioned to this a few times. I've struggled to do true crime podcasts with finding the time to research cases,
Ab- Absolutely.
trying to script things out. So I know what a
Yep.
challenge it can be, but you were doing two videos a week and now you said recently you had to back down to one a week, and the fact anyone can even do one a week is amazing to me.
It's a lot of work, it is, and I don't think it's, you don't really recognize that, and I didn't when I first started as well. Couple hours of research, a couple days sometimes, and then your script, because you wanna get as much information and then figure out how much information you're actually gonna put in there, and then the recording and editing, and it's a lot. It's a lot. If I was doing this only as a full-time job, maybe it would be different, but with me working and doing this as a hobby, it makes it a little challenging to get two done. I've learned that.
Well, what's your regular day job?
So I right now am bartending and waitressing. I took a couple months off when I started my YouTube, the crime YouTube, which I've been doing for a couple of months. I took a couple months off, so I wasn't really doing anything, and so I could dedicate the time just to the YouTube channel. But now that I'm back to work full time, it's 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 uh it's one a week now.
Well, were you doing waitressing or bartending this during the past year with COVID?
I have off and on. At the beginning of COVID, I had an office job, a senior account rep, and I ended up moving from Michigan to California when they said we could work from home. And so they're like, everybody, don't come to the office, work from home. And I was planning on moving in June, but I ended up moving right then in March. They said, you have to work from home. And I said, well, I'm going to work from California if I have a choice instead of Michigan where it was cold. And so I ended up, so for a couple of months, I did that and then took a little bit of time off. And a lot of it was because of restaurants closing down and opening up, closing down and opening up. So yeah, a couple months here, a couple months off.
Where in Michigan are you from?
From the Grand Rapids area, it's a town called Holland, Michigan.
Oh, wow, you and I are well, you and I were state neighbors, and I'm in Ohio.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
So you say pop too.
oh yeah. I was gonna say speaking of which, but we don't have pop. Uh,
No.
we are. It is customary. I gotta. Oh, damn, that's a big mug. What are? I think I know what you're drinking, but let's go ahead and state for the listeners and viewers here.
Yes, this is the Bones coffee, and it's called what again?
Cookies and dreams.
Cookies and Dreams. I want to say cookies and creams, but that's not it. Cookies and Dreams.
Well, it's cookies and cream flavored, but Bones Coffee, come up with fun names for all the different flavors.
It's pretty tasty, I have to say. It's pretty good.
This, I told you, I mean, I know you already thanked me for giving you the recommendation for it. This and the s'more one they make, which they call s'more time, are my two favorites. But every shipment I order from them, I try to get at least one new flavor that I haven't tried from them yet.
Sure, exactly. Mix it up.
Yeah, but every shipment, I always get the cookies and cream and the s'more flavored.
Okay. I mean,
So
that's gonna be my next flavor is the s'more one. That sounds delicious.
yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think of that too. But um they have peanut butter and jelly flavor.
That that one's a little risky for me. I'm not sure about the peanut butter and jelly. Have you
Yeah,
tried it?
yeah,
Pretty good?
it's fine.
Okay.
It's I mean, some of them are just like uh, none of them have been bad, but I mean, tasted bad, but most of them are like try it and then be done with it,
Okay.
if I'm being honest.
Okay. Okay.
So, but like these two are, and I also order the extra caffeinated one they have, which they call high voltage, and
Okay.
I tend to like put some creamer in that one if I have that one.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, for the most part, I mean, they're pretty good, and would love for them to sponsor, although they probably never will
Hey,
because
never say never. I'm telling you, there's so many opportunities. I wouldn't rule it out.
yeah,
Especially the recommendation that you gave me, I was right on it. I love a good flavored coffee. I'm not much of a cream or sugar kind of gal. I just like my just black. And so if it has that flavor to it, it's even better. So,
yeah, I can mostly drink coffee black. The problem if it's like Folgers or Maxwell House, I'll tend to want to add creamer.
okay.
But I mean, I never buy that. But if someone has that,
Yeah.
or if they
Yeah.
have that at work or something, I don't know. Even though I tend to buy most of the coffee at work because I like making coffee for everyone.
Aw.
So, and I like I like turning people on to new kinds. So,
Right. Right. Are you a tea drinker or not a tea drinker?
no, I haven't had to, previous guest I had on here, Tiffany Mosher, when I talked with her, she's a tea drinker. So she and I made a deal that whenever it is her and I meet in person,
Okay.
we're going to like go out to like get coffee, tea. She drinks tea over coffee and I drink coffee over tea.
Okay.
And we made a deal. I am going to pick a flavor of coffee for her to try, and she's going to pick a flavor of tea for me to try.
Oh, that's a good bet. That's a good one.
So,
Especially if she tries different teas and knows really good ones.
oh yeah, I mean, I'm putting my trust in her for that one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I just hope because she says she's really not into coffee that much, but I hope she'll put her trust in me for like,
Well, your recommendations so far haven't steered me wrong or steered me wrong, so I think we're okay. I think you're going to be good.
well, I think you've only tried that's the only one you've tried that I
Right.
recommend. So, well, you'll have to let me know about the s'more one, and I'll
Right.
try to throw a few more your way as
Okay.
they come to me. Yeah, have you ever thought about getting into podcasting since you do a YouTube?
I
Like,
have. I have. And why is because there's so many limitations on YouTube as far as what you can say, how descriptive you can be with things, and there's you're kind of in a box a little bit. So some things need to be left out or reworded so it doesn't mess with monetization, which most of my videos are demonetized anyways, but or limited. So I thought having a podcast with having just that freedom to be able to, with respect, say anything you want without punished or slapped on the hand.
yeah, I think like the problem I've had with doing when I tried to do the podcast was I was doing it by myself.
Right.
And I've toyed with the idea of bringing my most recent one back with a co-host. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking for a co-host. I mean, I'd love to have a co-host.
Absolutely. I would jump on that in a heartbeat. You just have to say the word and I'll be there right with you. And it's nice to be able to have some dialogue as well to get a
Yeah,
second perspective. Maybe you're siding with the villain and I'm, you know what I mean? Just to have
yeah,
that different camaraderie so we can get a different perspective than my own. I love that idea.
yeah. But I mean, so I mean, I got your word on it that you'd love to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Ab-
and I have gotten along great. I mean, just
oh
chatting
yeah.
on. So I feel great.
Oh,
We'll have
absolutely.
great
Absolutely.
chemistry doing something like that together.
Yeah, I mean, if you can tolerate my scatteredness, then you're perfect. Honestly, ever since I've gone back to work, I'm just like a total scatterbrain. I have no idea who I even am, what day it is, it's just
Well, that's the way I was during when the pandemic first hit,
right.
because I work in a library and we shut down for about 4 months.
Okay. Yep.
And yeah, and so there was periods where I was waking up not knowing what day it was, and
Mm-hmm.
so we shut down around the middle of March and opened up towards the end of July. And it's been something to adjust, but this coming week we're pulling back all restrictions and pretty much going back to normal.
Okay.
So we're able to do that finally. So that's also going to have to, being like a year and a half just about
Mm-hmm.
since it's been a normal routine, that's going to take adjusting to again.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
LA's opening up, or California, June 15. It's pretty much everything's back open and running. I know it's different for different areas.
yeah,
So that's the one date that they keep throwing out is June 15. Everything's going to go back to full capacity. So I imagine that's similar in Ohio.
yeah. Ohio, I think is this coming Wednesday, June 2nd, is
Oh,
the mask mandate is being lifted.
okay.
And that's
Okay.
pretty much, I think that's pretty much signaling like going back to having things fully open and running. Like I know the ballpark where the Indians play
Mhm.
is talking about going back to full capacity around that time.
For whatever reason, that just sounds so risky. I don't know. Somebody stands too close to me. I think it's risky. So, and I am not a germaphobe at all, but
Yeah,
it's just the new norm, I guess. And we'll move past it once it all comes together and you're in a concert or whatever. You won't even be thinking about it.
yeah. I'm fully vaccinated, so I'm like I feel I'm just ready pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they just open back up and people are ready to go out? We're packed as far as the restaurants and they all express, we've been locked up for so long, we're ready to be out and nobody can sit at the bar yet, around the bar, so they're wanting to do that. So June 15 is when hopefully things will open up to full capacity again.
During this whole quarantine pandemic thing we went through, did were you struggling with it personally with your how you were handling it?
There was a lot of changes that happened over the last year. It was a little tough because I moved to a new state. I moved into a new home. At the time, it was we moved from one apartment to another apartment, so there was a move even after my last move. Dealing with, mass not being able to work, deciding on what I wanted to do professionally, because I did a huge shift going from an office to waitressing, which I've always waitressed and I really enjoy it, making that shift in my mind. What makes me happy versus what society tells me is the norm. Getting a professional job and working in the office is what people strive to do. That's their goals. Me, I'm like, I don't like sitting in an office staring at a screen. I'm going to shift over to waitressing where I'm on my feet. I'm dealing with people. I love chatting with people and getting to know people. And is that the right decision? So, on top of everything that was happening in the world, I was making some really big life decisions as well, moving from Michigan to California, giving up my career. And so it was a lot of adjusting. I think I did well with it. I didn't There was a lot of anxiety that came with that. I think I upped my dosage of my medication for a little while. But for the most part, I think I did well. I know a lot of people struggled way beyond anything, and they weren't even making big life decisions. It was just a tough year all around. But some of it was my choices and just working through those. But how did you fare? How did you do through everything?
I mean, I've had a big battle with depression for most of my life anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
but there were times where it really kicked up and I had to
yep, yep,
adjust my medication
yep,
and
yep.
just, questioning a lot of, I don't know, it just made me question a lot of like life in general.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I've had my struggles, I've had my also good feelings too.
Sure.
Some reassurances. Just I'm very fortunate to have a job that's very understanding as far as mental health goes and
That's
very accommodating.
that helps.
So
Absolutely.
I've been very fortunate in that regard, but it's been a lot of up and down for me.
Okay.
Just
Okay. So what do you have some recommendations for some coping skills? Have you picked up anything along the way that really helped you get through it? I know for me, journaling really helps. I When I get too stressed, I'll make like a priority list of what I need to tackle first, or what's because I suffer from anxiety, not so much as the depression side of it, where I just get overwhelmed and I just block everything out and I don't do anything.
oh, I get that too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. There's a name for it. It's called something like anyways, you just don't get anything done. It's like forget it. If I can't do it all, I'm just going to do absolutely nothing, which accomplishes nothing for anybody, and then it causes depression. And
Yeah. But I have a therapist I talk to,
okay.
so that helps. Just getting out and taking a walk. It was fortunate that during here in Ohio, when I was off for 4 months, it happened to be like nice weather a lot of the times. So that allowed me to like get out and try. It helps me clear my mind. And
Mm,
like today
yeah.
is a great day here.
Yeah,
Like you can see the
I can
light
see the
coming.
sun. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
I mean, I
beautiful.
was out for a bit earlier today.
Okay.
So, but like just going for a walk on a day like this helps like putting my earbuds in, listening to a podcast or an audiobook or great, like nice weather walking music.
Yeah, right, right.
Oh, any, do you have any kind of music that you think fits that for you?
I am
I want to,
I
I want to hear yours before I tell you mine.
ah actually, my answer is going to be so bland because I just listen to anything top 40, anything I like is clearing my head. I will in the morning if I want to block out the noises from outside, I'll play elevator music. That really helps, but that's just so I can sleep longer. So,
W-
all right, tell us yours. What is it? We're on edge
I
here.
think I love, well, mine tends to be country. I think country is the best for like nice weather music.
Oh, sure. All I think about when I think about summer and country is that a pontoon song.
I don't think I know that.
Summer Shady Shades. I'm not well versed in country. Of course, the Taylor Swift and those more poppy country singers I'm more familiar with.
I'm looking up seeing if I can find. Oh, I'll check it out later.
You're
Don't want to.
looking up the song that I was talking about. It's like
Yeah.
summer. It's like on the pontoon. Okay.
Okay.
I cannot sing. That was awful. No, even if it was exactly the way I can't sing, so you probably wouldn't recognize it anyways.
That was probably better than you think.
You know how many people have asked me since I moved to LA if I'm either a singer or not because I sing in public by any stretch of the imagination, or am I an actress, an inspiring actress? It's like, no, to all of them, no.
Well, I mean, waitress and bartender in LA
Oh,
is, you know,
exactly. Is it, I work with somebody who's on the show Days of Our Lives. She's like a sit-in. I
oh,
mean, so I mean, there is a lot of actors, actresses that are in the industry. So yeah, it's not uncommon, but it's so funny how many people, customers, during interviews, they'll ask, so are you a inspiring actress? No, 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 no.
well, is your dream job to do the true crime content full time?
Yes, that is. That is. To be self-employed is the ultimate goal. I've tried a few different things and nothing's really stuck so far. So I ultimately want to focus my energy on my YouTube channel and growing that. And it's slowly but surely it's gaining some momentum, but of course you want it now, but then you don't appreciate it. So it's meant to be the way it is, but patience has a way
Yeah, well,
of
some cases tend to hit more than others when you're talking about what gets played.
right,
So,
right. And I have a little bit of a twisted taste, I guess. I really am fascinated by family familicide, and so I don't think that's for everybody, and it's a little heavy. And if I only did that on my channel, I'm not sure that that would be as successful as I like to have the variety for different people, but that's actually my fascination, which some people don't even want to hear about it. And I'm like, it's just so fascinating, just honestly, how terrible people can be. And how did they get there? And why did they get there? It's hard to wrap your mind around.
yeah. Well, have there been any cases that you wanted to cover, but either they're too heavy or they're too hard to research or you don't know how to cover? Has there been anything like that for you?
So the case that I just asked, I put it on my community tab. It's Michelle Blair. Michelle Blair. It's Mitchelle. Michelle Blair. So she is a freezer mom, and she felt that her son was being abused by first another son, sexually being abused. And so she ended up killing him, putting him in a freezer. 9 months later, killing her daughter for the same thing and putting her in the same freezer. And they sat in this freezer for 2 years in her living room or dining room, wherever, in her apartment, small apartment,
Oh,
with the other children knowing that they are in there. It's just so dark. And there is she pled guilty. She said, "Yep, I did it." The woman is she states, "I did it and I'd do it again if I had the opportunity." She has zero remorse. She didn't make up a story. She didn't claim insanity. "I did it and I would do it again."
wow. I've never heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not covered on YouTube except for news outlets because it's so heavy. And I put on my community tab who wanted to see it. I have two cases that involve kind of around the same thing that are, bad parents, very, very parents who murder. And she is in the running to cover. Now, once I start doing my research, this woman, if there's anybody that really gets under your skin as a criminal, it's definitely her. She she blatantly just has no remorse. It says she'll do it again. She talks as if she's the victim and that those kids at 9 and 12 needed or deserve what they got. It's
Wow.
just the most bizarre. So those are heavy cases that are really hard to cover, but they're really fascinating at the same time.
Yeah. There's a case I did on my when I tried to do a podcast. There's a case that I did that is from Ohio in the 1960s.
Okay.
A woman named Marianne Colby
Okay.
murdered her 9-year-old son's best friend.
Oh my gosh, so young.
It was her son was kind of a he was kind of not quite a special needs kid, but like on the verge or on the fence.
Okay.
But
Okay.
he was a slow learner,
Gotcha.
and she was there was talk like she was jealous of the neighbor of the son of the neighbors who was viewed as this like her son's who was her son's age. He was like viewed as like the all-American boy, and there was some issues between the two like the parents, each boy's parents.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there was talk like the one kid's parents, his name was Kramer, the boy who was
Okay.
murdered.
Okay.
Like his parents didn't want him hanging with Marianne's son anymore. There was talk like she had a lot of resentment for him, so she like one morning she murdered her son, then like took him, dumped him in the woods,
My
and then
gosh.
I can't remember all the exact details, but
Okay.
she the case is known because she pled insanity,
Of course. Yep.
essentially was found. I mean, she ended up being committed to a mental hospital,
Okay.
but then like when professionals looked at her, they determined like she's not really insane. Like she knew what she was doing the whole time. So
Yep,
it's
that's
kind of
true.
a fascinating saga of
Right.
like for murdering a like a 9-year-old boy, she ended up maybe only serving like 5 years total prison
Because
time.
of mental illness, is
Yeah,
that
but then
one issue?
she ended up being released from the mental hospital because it was determined she was never insane,
Of
and
course.
they could. So then she ended up just moving. After she got out, she moved to another town and lived out the rest of her life. Yeah.
Wow. It seems I don't know why it is the way it is as far as, people pleading insanity, how it's almost subjective. It's the doctor who is there at the time. Yeah, I don't know if you're following the Lori Vallow case, how she was just I mean, she was just found where she's not competent,
Yeah,
that she just
I'm obviously aware of it, but I'm not like following
Yeah.
closely.
Me either. I feel like anytime I turn on the TV, there's a different person covering it, so it's so saturated that I'm almost
Yeah.
like I just kind of. But I did see,
I think cases like that where I was the same thing with Scott Peterson and
yeah,
Casey,
yeah.
like when it's so like and Chris Watts, when
Oh
it's so
gosh,
like
Chris Watts.
when it's so like as you said, like oversaturated and just in your face everywhere. Like I just like want to step back, and then
Yeah,
when everything dies down, when whoever gets convicted
yeah.
is sentenced, and like when it dies down, step back and then like
Take it all in at
yeah,
once.
like read a book on it or watch a special on it,
Right,
so
right. Exactly.
that's what I tend to do.
Right. What Lori or what Chris Watts ate for breakfast. I mean, there's been so many Chris Watts videos. What is his girlfriend doing and what
Yeah.
his jail cell looks like. And I'm just like, I'm so over Chris Watts. Let him rot in prison where he belongs.
I mean, I don't know if I'll ever go back to it because I mean, I think I have heard all the like stuff what you like need to hear about it. Like, and saw that body cam footage
Right,
of when he's at the neighbor's house.
right.
I mean, I pretty much seen and heard it all already. So,
Exactly, exactly.
uh,
What do you think about that? That body language, you can, when people do these interviews, there was just a
well,
couple.
I saw where he's standing on the porch like this.
Yeah, rocking a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes.
like they said, like that's him like guarding himself, or
Or yeah, to like soothe himself or calm himself down, or yeah, they have so many different. I didn't really buy into it until there was a couple that went on, and there was these body analysts that were talking about using past tense, future tense, and different ways that they tell their stories. And I don't know, I found it fascinating. I'm not sure that I 100% buy into it, but I find it fascinating.
I think if you know, like with the example of Chris Voss, that you know he's guilty, then it's easy to insert stuff
Oh,
like that.
exactly.
So, I mean, Chris Voss, we know he did it. So after the fact, it's easy to just insert stuff like,
Right.
okay, the way he's standing here means this.
Right, right. It's
And
almost like hindsight's 2020. Like we
yeah,
already know the outcome, so
yeah.
let's just
I
fit the
think
pieces.
I think the only thing that you could maybe notice in the moment that I would have noticed in the moment is that body cam footage of him at the neighbor's house when he's when the neighbor's trying to show the video and he's like, okay, like could what happened to my wife be on this? And he's standing on his phone. He's doing the and then when the neighbor reveals like, yeah, it's the camera's actually pointed right at their driveway. He looks up like, what?
What?
And then you see him
Yeah,
like his hands on his head, he's pacing back and forth.
he
He's
was,
rocked.
oh, he was sweating bullets. Yes.
Yeah, like that. I think that's the one you could point out. And even the neighbor was when Chris left the room, the neighbor was like, did you see where he was? I said to the cop, like
What
he,
was that?
yeah. So I think that's really the only thing. Other things like him standing with his arms crossed, talking
Hmm.
to the media, like that to me, something like that again is hindsight's 2020.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
so,
yeah. You just kind of fitting the mold to fit. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, the Orrin and Orson boys that went missing, their parents had a interview with news reporters, and that was all over, and a lot of body language people were analysts, I mean, were talking about what they're saying and what it means, and so they're automatically lying and guilty and blah blah blah, which they could be, I don't know, but it's just funny how these analysts, they already know everything. So that's why I say I buy into some of it, but some of it is just fitting with their narrative.
I I don't know, like a lot of aspects of true like pro FBI profiling really fascinates me.
Ooh,
Just
yes,
how accurate they can be. And,
yes.
and I mean I've heard people try to say like no FBI profiling is not a real thing. It's just there. That's something I'm fascinated with.
Sure, sure. Mid 30s, a white, lives with his parents, that type of stuff. Is that what you mean? Like a description of the profiles
Are
of
you
what
talking
they're
about me now? No, I'm kidding. No,
name is Joey.
big coffee lover.
Big coffee lover. Something about Bones Coffee. I mean, it has murder written all over it.
No, I mean, yeah, that is fascinating.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. That was my first true crime video that I came out with, is profiles of a serial killer, and I compared four different serial killers, and that McDonald triad, as far as, are they bedwetters, set fires, um,
Harm animals.
harm animals. Yes. And I too, I am super fascinated. I know that some people get upset that during my channel I always want to talk about the murderer and their backstory and where they came from, and it just that type of stuff, trying to understand why a person becomes what they do, and a lot of it is upbringing. You hear these, not always, although that does not ever excuse that, because for every tragic story of a serial killer, there's 15 others that have, I don't know exact statistics, but I'm just saying that they're not out committing murders. So just because you grow up that way doesn't mean that you're absolutely excusable that you become a serial killer or a killer in general.
This isn't a definite for those listening it's going to happen, but if I do bring back my true crime podcast, I have you signed on as new
Absolutely.
co-host.
Yes,
Yes, I love
absolutely.
that.
Yes. It would be fun. It'll be neat. It'll be a neat opportunity.
Yeah, and you and I feel we get along pretty well, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So we have a lot in common in that area, and I feel a good rapport with one another.
I do
So
too. I do too. You get my little twisted quirkiness, so hey.
hey, I love that. I mean, that's what draws me to others.
Sure.
So, but all right, Kimberly. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so
I
much
am
for having me.
I unfortunately have to cut this, but well, I'll definitely do this again with you. And you are inspiring me to, just because you said you want to co-host with me, to want to like look into bring it back.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we'll be in touch more about that when I figure stuff out. But
Absolutely. Get the new schedule down and
figure out what to talk about in the format and all that.
oh yeah,
So,
exactly. Give the people what they want as well.
but Kimberly, thank you so much, and yeah, I'm glad to know you now, and
Yes.
and we'll talk. We'll talk again soon, I feel.
Good. Thanks again for having me.
And thanks for joining me. Take care of yourself.
You as well.